Tell me, what's destroying you?
It's not people, Dad. It's the battle inside my own mind. Do you even recognize that person anymore? No. And that's exactly why everything changes today.
How much more pain can you take?
Enough to become the man I was meant to be.
What if you fail again?
Then I'll fail fighting, not hiding.
What is the name of the giant you are currently facing? Like right now, in this exact moment of your life, what actually is it?
Ooh, that is a heavy question to start with.
Right. But think about it. Is it fear? Is it, anxiety or maybe insecurity? Or is it just doubt? What is the specific thing that has essentially stopped you cold?
I mean, if you flinched just now listening to those questions, and honestly, I kind of did too,
Yeah.
you really aren't alone.
No, definitely not alone.
Today's deep dive is about a philosophy that basically absolutely refuses to let you look away from the things holding you back.
Yeah, we are examining this incredibly intense, just highly concentrated piece of motivational rhetoric today. It's titled, "It Doesn't Get Easier, You Get Stronger 2.0."
And, well, the mission here isn't to just, pump you full of empty adrenaline so you can go run through a brick wall for 5 minutes.
Right, it's not just hype.
Exactly. The goal is to systematically deconstruct the core arguments this source makes about how human beings process pain, how we construct our identities, and how we actually overcome these seemingly insurmountable odds.
Because the baseline premise we are working with here is, it's brutal in its honesty.
It really pulls no punches.
It doesn't. The central argument is that the world is never, ever going to soften for you. The environment is not going to suddenly become more forgiving.
And the circumstances around you are definitely not going to just magically align to make your life a breeze,
Right. So in this framework, the only variable you actually have any control over is your own internal resilience.
Which I think strips away a lot of the comforting illusions we tend to build up. We build them up to protect our egos.
Oh, for sure. We love a good illusion of safety.
We really do. But this philosophy demands that you just stop waiting for a rescue boat. You have to wake up and realize that you are already in the water, storm is raging, and you basically have to build the boat yourself out of whatever wreckage you can find floating around you.
Which honestly brings us right back to that opening provocation, naming your giant.
Because you can't fight something if you won't even name it.
Exactly. The source insists that these obstacles in your life, these giants, they remain undefeated, specifically because you are dragging around what it calls weight from the past.
That phrase is so critical. Weight from the past.
Yeah, and it specifically targets things like unprocessed trauma, betrayal, and just the lingering anguish from places and people that have hurt you.
We really need to look closely at that phrase, though, because it isn't just a nice poetic metaphor.
It's literal.
Well, psychologically and biologically, yes. Unresolved emotional pain acts as a literal encumbrance on your system.
Okay, unpack that a little bit for us.
So when you experience a profound betrayal, your brain's amygdala, which is kind of the alarm system, it flags that event as a severe threat to your survival.
Right. It says, danger, do not let this happen again.
Exactly. And if you don't process it, your nervous system remains in this sort of low-grade state of hypervigilance. You're just constantly scanning the horizon for the next betrayal.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is entirely exhausting. That chronic stress response consumes massive amounts of cognitive and metabolic energy.
Wow, okay. So the stamina you desperately need to fight the giant standing right in front of you
is being siphoned off.
Just to fight ghosts from a decade ago.
That is exactly it. You are fighting a two-front war, and you're losing the one in the present because of the one in the past.
See, I am struggling a bit with the specific language the source uses to address this, though.
The get over it part.
Yes, because the source dictates that to overcome this weight, you have to realize that, and I'm quoting here, this time it's got to be personal.
Right, you have to reach a breaking point.
You do. You have to declare that you are no longer willing to tolerate the misery. But then it just repeatedly hammers this phrase, get over it.
It is very blunt.
It says, straighten up your back, get over the pain, get over the trauma, get over the betrayal.
And you feel like that's too dismissive.
Well, when you apply that to severe trauma, doesn't that just lead to dangerous emotional suppression? I mean, it sounds like we're being told to just shove all this heavy emotional baggage under the bed and pretend it isn't there.
It certainly sounds dismissive on the surface, I'll give you that. But if we look at the mechanics of what is actually being proposed here,
Yeah.
it's honestly the exact opposite of suppression.
How so? Because suppression is usually just ignoring the problem.
Right, suppression is passive. It's an avoidance tactic.
Yeah.
What is being advocated here in the text is a manufactured, aggressive breaking point.
Okay.
The text argues that you must come to the end of this version of you.
So it's demanding a kind of like a psychological death of the old self.
That is the functional mechanism, yes.
Oh.
It is a deliberate fracturing of your current identity.
Wow.
The you that tolerates being defined by the people who lied to you or the people who left you, that version has to expire.
It has to die so the new one can live.
Exactly. So when you hear the command to get over it, within the specific psychological framework, it doesn't mean ignore it. It translates to cease allowing the past to be the architect of your present.
Oh, that is a huge distinction.
It is an assertion of radical, almost unreasonable responsibility. You didn't cause the betrayal. You didn't ask for the trauma.
Right, it wasn't your fault.
But you are absolutely 100% responsible for how long you allow it to dictate your current behavior.
Okay, that actually clarifies the mechanism for me quite a bit. It's less about ignoring the baggage and more about recognizing the reality of it.
It's about seeing the baggage for what it is.
Like realizing that you've been dragging a 50-pound suitcase through the airport of life for a decade.
Yes, a perfect analogy.
And your shoulder's completely dislocated, you're exhausted, you're missing all your flights.
And you don't even need what's in the bag anymore.
Exactly. And so the command to get over it is just the realization that it's time to finally unzip the thing, unpack the contents, actually look at them, and then just leave the empty case by the trash can.
And stepping away from that suitcase leaves a massive psychological vacuum.
Because that weight was part of your identity for so long.
It was. Once you strip away the identity of the victim, the person who is just weighed down by the past nature demands that you fill that void with something else.
Right. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Exactly. If you don't intentionally fill it, the baggage will just find its way back to you. You'll just pick up another suitcase. This is why the source immediately introduces a new, highly provocative identity for you to step into.
And it is very provocative. It challenges you to become a dangerous man and an absolute monster.
Yeah, we have to analyze the semantics of those words very, very carefully.
Because outside of this specific ecosystem, those words carry intensely negative connotations.
Very negative.
I'll admit my immediate reaction to hearing someone say, "You need to be a monster," is complete rejection.
Of course. It sounds terrible.
It sounds like a license for toxic, bulldozing, abusive behavior.
But the source actually anticipates that exact pushback.
It does. It goes out of its way to establish strict parameters around this idea. It clarifies that being dangerous does not mean being a physical threat.
No, not at all.
It's not about acting like a tyrant or puffing your chest out to intimidate people at the gym or in the boardroom.
In fact, it claims the exact opposite.
Yeah, it says the loud guy lifting weights and bragging about his dominance is rarely the dangerous one. The most dangerous person in the room is often the quietest.
This is such a direct challenge to a pervasive societal norm. We are constantly conditioned by this narrative that to be a good moral person, you should be fundamentally harmless.
Like you should be passive.
Right. You are expected to sheathe your competitive instinct, take a back seat, and, just avoid being too assertive.
And this text aggressively rejects that definition of virtue.
Because in this philosophy, being harmless is not a virtue. It is merely a lack of capability.
Wait, explain that a bit more. That's a deep concept.
Think about the underlying logic here. If you are entirely incapable of fighting, incapable of competing, and incapable of standing your ground against malevolence,
Then your goodness is just forced on you.
exactly. Your goodness is just weakness wearing a moral mask. You are only peaceful because you literally lack the power to be anything else.
You are harmless by default, not by choice.
Right. The paradox being presented is that true virtue requires the capacity for immense power and competitive endurance.
So you have to be capable of destruction, in a way.
You have to possess the capability to be a monster, to have dangerous levels of ambition and drive. But then you consciously choose to channel that formidable power toward a productive, disciplined goal.
So it is the mastery of controlled ambition.
Yes, controlled ambition.
That reframes the word danger entirely. It's an internal danger. You are a danger to your own limitations.
I love how you phrase that. A danger to your limitations.
The source defines this identity by its self-mastery. It says the dangerous individual is the one who masters their thinking, who isn't afraid to sweat, who refuses to quit, and who knows their true identity.
But the definition that struck me the most...
Oh, let me guess. Dangerous is the one who owns a dream.
Yes, that one right there. It introduces a fascinating layer regarding human commitment.
It really does. The source emphasizes that you must not rent your dream, you must not lease it, and you absolutely must not, and I love this phrase, you must not Airbnb a dream.
It's such a modern, perfect way to put it.
You have to go to the title agency and put your money down. I find this real estate analogy incredibly clarifying for the listener.
Let's break down the psychological difference between those two states of being, renting versus owning.
Okay, well, when you rent an Airbnb for the weekend, your locus of control is entirely external.
Right, you have zero skin in the game.
Exactly. If the plumbing breaks in the middle of the night, you don't care about the foundation of the house. You don't care about the water damage to the drywall.
You just call the host, pack your bags, and leave.
Your commitment ends the literal second the situation becomes uncomfortable.
Because it's not yours.
But when you own that house, when your life savings are tied up in the down payment and your actual name is on the deed, your relationship to adversity changes entirely.
Completely shifts.
If the pipes burst at 3 a.m, you don't run away. You can't. You are up in the middle of the night, knee-deep in freezing water with a wrench, fighting to fix the pipes because it is yours.
You are dangerously committed to it.
Yes.
But you see, that level of ownership requires a foundational level of self-awareness, which is another major theme here.
Self-awareness as a prerequisite for ownership.
The argument is that self-awareness is the starting point for living a life of victory. If you don't recognize your own value, you will automatically disqualify yourself from greatness before you even begin.
You'll just talk yourself out of it.
You will never even step up to the metaphorical title agency to buy that dream in the first place.
Because it states very plainly in the text, if you can't see yourself, how will you ever see opportunity?
Which makes sense because opportunity always requires a toll.
Right, it's never free.
It requires sacrifice. And if your internal self-assessment concludes that you're just too weak to pay that toll, your brain won't even register the opportunity when it appears.
Wow, so you become blind to it.
Literally blind to it. Your brain will filter it out as an impossibility. The ultimate tragedy in this framework is going your whole life without ever discovering your true identity simply because you never realized you were strong enough to endure the hardship required to actually own the dream.
And the hardship is absolutely guaranteed. I mean, maintaining that dangerous mindset, having the stamina to be up at 3 a.m. fixing those freezing pipes, it requires fuel.
A lot of fuel.
And the source suggests you have to make a choice about where that fuel comes from. This is where the philosophy takes a very sharp turn.
This is my favorite part of the text.
It doesn't offer a choice between an easy path and a hard path, like most self-help books do. It demands that you choose between two different types of absolute agony.
The universal law of choose your hard is an incredibly tightly constructed, just logically inescapable argument.
It bombards the listener with this relentless list of dualities to prove that literally every single facet of human existence involves suffering.
It leaves nowhere to hide.
It really doesn't. It says it's hard to be wealthy, right? But it's incredibly hard to stay broke.
Right.
It's hard to be married, but singleness is also difficult. It's hard to wake up early and grind, but it's hard to wake up late and lose the daylight and feel behind.
And it goes into emotional states too. It's hard to practice forgiveness, but it is pure poison to live in bitterness and unforgiveness.
It covers everything.
Yep.
Financial realities, interpersonal relationships, daily micro habits, deep emotional states, everything.
The rhetorical strategy here is to systematically box you in, cutting off every possible psychological escape route you might have built to rationalize seeking an easy life.
I have to admit, when I first encountered this specific section, my immediate reaction was just a profound sense of existential exhaustion.
Just feeling tired from reading it.
Yeah, because if I'm being told that literally every option available to me is going to be incredibly difficult and painful, my instinct is to ask, well, why even try?
Right, what's the point?
If both options hurt, why put in the effort? It feels like being forced to run a marathon no matter what you do.
Okay, let's play that out.
In one scenario, you run the 26 miles, you suffer, and you cross the finish line. In the other scenario, you refuse to run, you stay on the couch, but you still magically suffer the shin splints, the dehydration, and the exhaustion.
That reaction, that exact existential dread you're describing, is exactly what the concept is designed to provoke and then immediately resolve.
Okay, how does it resolve it?
Yeah.
Because I'm still feeling the dread.
We have to look at the physics of human inertia. When people are paralyzed by the fear of doing something difficult, whether that is starting a business or maybe repairing a broken relationship, or confronting a personal failing, they are usually operating under a false assumption.
What assumption?
This subconscious belief that not doing the hard thing will keep them safe. They believe inaction preserves their current state of comfort.
They view stagnation as a pause button.
Precisely. But biology and physics don't have a pause button, they only have entropy. Stagnation is not preservation, it is decay.
Wow. Okay. Stagnation is decay.
The source shatters the illusion of the safe harbor. By forcing you to accept that being lazy, remaining broke, or harboring bitterness requires immense chronic emotional suffering, it neutralizes the boogeyman of fear.
So it says the boogeyman isn't real, or rather the boogeyman is everywhere, so running away doesn't help.
Exactly. You are running from the pain of effort directly into the teeth of the pain of decay.
Once you understand that hiding doesn't prevent pain, but merely changes the flavor of the pain.
The incentive to hide vanishes completely.
Right. The choice is distilled down to this. You must choose between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret.
The pain of discipline is finishing something, persevering, growing, and acquiring new skills.
Versus the quiet, just gnawing agony of looking back at a life unlived because you were terrified of making a mistake.
And notice the language used in the source here. It doesn't ask you to just passively tolerate the pain of discipline. It demands that you become an active consumer of it.
It turns into almost a chant in the text. Give me the pain of forgiving my haters. Give me the pain of letting it go. Give me the pain of growth. Give me the pain of acquiring new skill sets. Give me the pain of waking up early.
It's powerful.
You aren't just accepting it, you are demanding it.
Because you're consciously recognizing the dividend attached to that specific type of pain.
The ROI of pain.
Yes, the pain of discipline is transactional. You pay it and you receive growth, resilience, and capability in return. The pain of regret, though, that is a black hole. It consumes your mental energy and gives absolutely nothing back.
But, this philosophical acceptance of pain, this idea that you just need to choose the productive hard over the destructive hard, it's a very clean, theoretical concept.
In theory, yes.
It's easy for us to sit here in a studio, analyze it, and agree that we should all choose the pain of waking up early. But the source doesn't allow the listener to stay in the realm of theory for very long.
No, it abruptly drops the hammer.
It really does. It grounds this concept in brutal, inescapable, real-world reality.
The tonal shift in this section is jarring, honestly, but it's entirely necessary to validate the philosophy.
We move from the mild inconvenience of an alarm clock going off to literal life and death trauma.
Yes, the speaker shifts away from abstract concepts.
He starts listing intense personal anecdotes to prove that this dogfight of life is not just a metaphor. He talks about losing 5 aunts to cancer.
5. Just devastating.
He talks about the financial devastation of having to raise money for funerals for family members who didn't have insurance.
A very real, very harsh reality for so many people.
He talks about having cousins shot execution style in the back of the head in a local store. And he talks about his own wife having 7 lesions on her brain.
It grounds the entire philosophical framework right in the mud and the blood of human existence.
Yeah.
The speaker emphasizes that this level of visceral suffering isn't something you see curated on social media.
No, it's hidden.
It is a raw, terrifying reality that people face every day.
And I am genuinely wrestling with how the source connects this level of systemic hardship and grief back to its core thesis.
It's a difficult leap to make.
Because it calls processing pain a skill set. It calls it a type of currency. But when we are talking about terminal illness or murder, how does a human being convert that level of profound, shattering grief into a usable currency?
This is where we have to look at the psychology of post-traumatic growth. The source is not offering comfort in the traditional societal sense.
No platitude.
0 platitudes. It doesn't say time heals all wounds or everything happens for a reason. It analyzes the strategy of turning pain into power, what it literally calls turning your mess into your message.
But what is the actual mechanism for that? How do you synthesize a mess of that magnitude?
The mechanism is endurance through the active process of suffering. When a human being encounters catastrophic pain, the biological and psychological instinct is to just collapse.
To shut down.
The brain wants to shut down the system, conclude that it has been permanently defeated by the environment, and seize all forward momentum. But the framework demands that you view this catastrophic pain as a conditioning mechanism.
A conditioning mechanism, like training.
Exactly. The text argues, if I'm going to hurt like this, if I'm going to bleed like this, let me cry because I'm conditioned to weather the uphill war. Let me cry because I'm building my legacy.
So it is the absolute refusal to let the suffering be meaningless.
That's the key.
If you are forced to endure the agony of a horrific medical diagnosis or the sudden tragic loss of a loved one, you refuse to let that pain simply erode you into nothing. You force it to serve a purpose.
You weaponize it in a way.
You force it to make you more empathetic, more driven, and more completely aware of the fragility of time.
And there is a critical psychological concept introduced here regarding the nature of suffering. It's this idea that pain actually has an expiration date.
It literally says, hold on, pain ends. But my pushback there would be that in real life, deep pain doesn't just permanently stop. Grief doesn't just disappear one day.
Which the source acknowledges implicitly. It isn't suggesting that you reach some magical plateau where nothing ever hurts again.
Okay, good.
The reality is that when one pain ends, a new one will eventually surface. That's life. But the transformation happens in your emotional bandwidth.
Explain that.
You will be strong enough to face the new, heavier pain because your psychological architecture was literally expanded by surviving the previous one. It is a form of compounding emotional interest.
Ah, so that is how it becomes a currency.
Exactly. You spend your endurance in the fire of one tragedy, and in exchange, you purchase a permanently higher threshold of resilience for the rest of your life.
The source provides a highly practical metaphor to illustrate this biological and emotional reality, which I think makes it much easier to grasp. The gym.
Yes, the mechanics of physical hypertrophy. They perfectly mirror the mechanics of psychological growth.
So if you refuse to go to the gym, your body is still going to hurt eventually. You are going to suffer the pain of decay, joint stiffness, lethargy, all of that.
The pain of regret, physically.
Right. But if you do choose to go to the gym, it is also going to hurt. Your muscle fibers are going to experience actual physical micro tears.
You are inducing cellular trauma on purpose.
On purpose. You are going to be sore and you are going to bleed on a microscopic level. But the pain you experience under that barbell is the currency you are actively spending to buy the reward of longevity, physical power, and stamina.
You are intentionally fracturing the muscle so that the body is forced to rebuild it, denser and more capable than it was before the trauma.
That makes so much sense.
And the argument here is that emotional and psychological trauma operates on the exact same biological principle, with one massive, non-negotiable caveat.
Which is?
You cannot quit in the middle of the tearing process.
Oh, wow.
If you survive the emotional tear without abandoning your identity or giving up, the muscle of your character grows back infinitely stronger. But if you quit while you're torn, you just stay torn.
The only way I lose is if I quit. That is the absolute bottom line of this entire framework.
It is the bedrock.
But surviving this relentless dogfight, constantly spending the currency of pain to buy resilience, it requires a fundamental structural transformation of who you are.
You can't stay the same.
You cannot remain the same person and survive that much atmospheric pressure. To illustrate this ultimate transformation, the source shifts from the gym to a massive geological metaphor.
The life cycle of a diamond.
It outlines the journey to actualized greatness by tracking how a diamond is formed deep within the earth. It breaks it down into 3 distinct stages.
First, you have the pressure.
Right. This represents your youth, your early life, the initial unavoidable struggles and betrayals you face just growing up.
Then, life decides you've survived the pressure, and it brings on the heat.
And the heat represents the intense, compounding challenges of adulthood, the real dogfights, the financial ruin, the health crises, the profound, life-altering losses.
And just when you think you have survived all the pressure and all the heat a human being can possibly take,
Just when you think the process is finally over.
the creator looks at you and says, now you're ready to get cut.
I really need to understand the sequencing here. Why does the cut come after the heat and the pressure? What does being cut actually represent for a person in this context?
Well, think about the physical reality of a raw diamond that has just been pushed to the surface of the earth after surviving all that pressure and heat.
Okay, it's just a rock, basically.
Right. It is incredibly hard. It is undeniably resilient, but it is also completely unrefined. To the untrained eye, it just looks like a cloudy lump of glass.
It doesn't sparkle.
It has no brilliance. The pressure and the heat were the environmental tains we discussed earlier, the tragedies and hardships that just happen to you by virtue of existing.
They are the passive forces of nature.
But the cut is deliberate. The cut is not a random tragedy. It is the meticulous, intensely painful process of a master jeweler taking a chisel to the stone.
So the cut represents intentional refinement.
It is the painful stripping away of everything that is not absolutely essential to your destiny.
Oh, that's good.
It is the voluntary shedding of comfortable but unproductive habits. It might mean, cutting ties with relationships that no longer align with your vision, or abandoning a really safe career path that doesn't serve your ultimate purpose.
And that hurts.
It hurts immensely. The cut is what creates the geometric facets that allow the diamond to catch and reflect light. Without the cut, you are strong, you are hard, but you are not brilliant. You have no specific utility.
And that concept of specific utility leads directly into the text's next major paradigm shift. The cut is the mechanism that transitions you from what the speaker calls a wandering generality into a meaningful specific.
The danger of remaining a wandering generality.
That phrase completely stopped me in my tracks when I read it. A wandering generality versus a meaningful specific.
Oh.
It immediately makes me think about the physics of light.
Oh, that's an interesting angle. Walk us through that.
Think about a standard 60-watt light bulb hanging in the middle of a room. It is a wandering generality.
Okay, I follow.
It takes a certain amount of energy and disperses it equally in every single direction. It mildly illuminates the walls, the floor, the ceiling. It's useful, it's comforting, and it's very, very safe.
Right, just ambient.
But it doesn't really affect the environment on a structural level. It just casts a vague, warm glow.
It lacks penetrating power.
Exactly. But a meaningful specific, that is a laser.
Ah, I see.
A laser takes that exact same 60 watts of energy, but instead of dispersing it all over the place, it intensely focuses it. It collimates the light waves so they are all traveling in the exact same direction in perfect phase.
And because it is so highly specific, that exact same amount of energy can now slice through a sheet of solid steel.
That analogy perfectly captures the danger the source is warning against, I think. The allure of being the light bulb is the illusion of playing it safe.
Right. You are well-rounded, you don't offend anyone, you dabble in a few hobbies, you show up to a job you don't really care about, but you never focus your energy enough to actually risk failure.
You never risk burning anything, but you never cut through anything either.
Mm-hmm.
And the source bluntly dismantles that illusion of safety.
It reminds the listener, quite brutally, you can't get out of life alive.
There is no safe position. If you go to work tomorrow just because that is what you did yesterday, you are a wandering generality. You are just 2 days older and absolutely no closer to a meaningful goal simply because you haven't allowed the chisel to cut you. You haven't focused your energy.
And to become that laser, to maintain that meaningful specificity over time, the text argues you must master the cognitive framework of persistence.
You have to genuinely believe that you are always one yes away.
The energy in this specific section of the source material is just infectious. The speaker starts, every time they close the door, I just get excited. Why? Because I'm not a no, I'm one yes away.
It's incredible. And this isn't just blind optimism, right? It's a deliberate cognitive framing technique.
It is an attempt to bend reality to your will. The source claims that the legends of history, the people who actually shifted the paradigm of the world, were the ones who dreamed with their eyes closed.
That phrase, dreaming with your eyes closed, is vital to the concept of the meaningful specific.
Psychologically, it means they refused to set the boundaries of their imagination based on the flawed, difficult reality they were currently observing with their open eyes.
They didn't look at the current state of their life, see the closed doors and the empty bank accounts, and conclude, well, I guess this is the limit of what is possible for me.
No, they closed their eyes to their current physical limitations and visualized the architecture of the world they actually wanted to inhabit.
Because action always reflects what you hold in your mind.
Exactly. The source is telling you that once you take true ownership of a dream, once you pay the cost and buy the title, it generates an internal psychological power that allows you to bend and shape reality until it looks like an exact copy of that which is held in the mind.
It is the ultimate assertion of the internal locus of control, and it highlights the urgency of this entire philosophy.
The urgency is paramount.
The text tells you that when you are asleep, you naturally need your dreams. But when you are wide awake, facing the dogfight of reality, you desperately need your dreams even more.
The dream is not an escape mechanism to avoid reality.
No, it is the literal blueprint for the new reality you are currently building while you are in the trenches taking fire.
We have covered an immense amount of deeply challenging psychological and philosophical ground today.
We have journeyed through some incredibly intense territory, and it is a lot to synthesize. So let's look at the complete architectural plan this deep dive has laid out for reconstructing your identity around resilience, based entirely on this source material.
Let's summarize the blueprint.
First, you have to look inward and name the giant that haunts you. You have to acknowledge the 50-pound suitcase of past trauma and betrayal, unzip it, and definitively leave it behind. You have to manufacture the end of the version of you that tolerates misery.
Second, you must adopt the mindset of the controlled monster.
Right. You have to refuse to Airbnb your dreams. You must put your own money down and take total ownership of your vision, realizing that your self-awareness is the only thing that will allow you to see the opportunities in front of you.
Third, you have to accept the unforgiving physics of human inertia. You must accept the universal law of choose your hard, deliberately demanding the productive pain of discipline rather than passively suffering the decaying pain of regret.
Fourth, you have to learn to process the inevitable, brutal hardships and tragedies of life as a biological currency. You must refuse to quit in the middle of the tearing process, spending your pain to buy permanent resilience.
And finally, you have to endure not just the pressure and the heat of the world, but the precise, painful, intentional cut that will transform you from a harmless, wandering generality into a dangerous, meaningful specific.
It is a profound, total rejection of the passive life.
It really is.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final, lingering idea to mull over. The source material closes with a brilliant, stark observation about human mortality and courage.
The speaker says, you can die in the bleachers or you can die on the field. You might as well come out on the field and have a good time.
We want you to explore the implications of that thought on your own today. This philosophy has firmly established that pain is guaranteed regardless of where you sit. The physics of entropy demand that you will suffer.
And your time on the clock is strictly limited because, as the text bluntly states, you can't get out of life alive.
So ask yourself this: what specific field in your life are you currently avoiding? What arena are you refusing to enter because you are sitting quietly in the bleachers, trying to be harmless, pretending that it's safe up there?
If the bleachers are just as dangerous as the field, if the pain of regret in the stands will eventually hurt just as much as the pain of discipline down on the grass, then the illusion of safety is gone.
The boogeyman isn't real.
It's time to step onto the grass.
Name your giant, choose your hard, and hit back. Keep questioning, keep digging, and we will see you on the next deep dive.